the day my sister celebrated Grandpa's inheritance without me. I was standing outside the restaurant in the rain, staring through the glass like a stranger looking into someone else's life. I wish I could say that was the first time my family made me feel invisible. It wasn't. I'm 33 years old, and for as long as I can remember, my younger sister Vanessa was the golden child, the pretty one, the loud one, the one my mother proudly showed off at church brunches and family parties while I stood in the background carrying coats and cleaning dishes. But Grandpa Walter, he was the only person who ever really saw me. That's why the night he died shattered me in ways I still can't explain. I didn't even hear it from my family first. My cousin texted me, "Sorry about Grandpa." That was it. No call, no warning, nothing. I remember staring at my phone in complete shock while my mother ignored every call I made afterward. Then 2 hours later, Vanessa posted a smiling family photo at Grandpa's house with the caption, "Celebrating Grandpa's beautiful life with the people who mattered most." The people who mattered most. I wasn't there. And trust me, that wasn't an accident. 3 days later, they organized a private inheritance dinner at this expensive downtown steakhouse. Crystal glasses, designer dresses, fake tears, the whole performance. And once again, no invitation for me. I found out because Vanessa uploaded videos all over Instagram. She was literally filming champagne bottles while joking about, finally, becoming rich. I should have ignored it. Instead, I drove there. Maybe part of me still hoped someone in that family would look at me and realize how cruel they'd become. But when I walked into the restaurant, my mother's face went cold. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. The entire table went silent. Vanessa slowly leaned back in her chair, smirking like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. Then she said the words that honestly broke something inside me. "You weren't invited because Grandpa didn't leave you anything." And right when I felt every eye in that restaurant judging me, the lawyer stood up behind them and said, "Actually, I've been looking for Olivia." For a second, nobody moved. Not my mother, not Vanessa, not even me. The entire table just froze as the lawyer adjusted his glasses and looked directly at me. "I've called you 6 times today," he said calmly. "You never answered." My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my purse. My phone was on silent," I whispered. Vanessa let out this awkward little laugh and crossed her arms. "Okay, can somebody explain why she's suddenly part of this meeting?" The lawyer didn't even look at her. Instead, he pulled a thick envelope from his briefcase. "Because your grandfather specifically requested Olivia be present before I read the final portion of the will." You could literally feel the mood change at the table. A minute earlier, they were drinking champagne and laughing. Now, nobody was smiling, especially Vanessa. She stared at me with this tight expression on her face, like she was trying to solve a problem that suddenly scared her. My mother recovered first. "Well," she said quickly, forcing a fake smile. "Then sit down, Olivia. Obviously, there's been some misunderstanding." That almost made me laugh. 5 minutes earlier, she looked ready to throw me out of the restaurant. Now suddenly I was family again. I slowly sat at the far end of the table while the lawyer opened Grandpa's file. My chest felt tight the entire time. Not because I cared about the money. Honestly, I just wanted proof that Grandpa hadn't forgotten me the way everyone else had. The lawyer cleared his throat. To Vanessa Carter, he read, "Your grandfather leaves the lake house." Vanessa immediately gasped, "Oh my God." My mother grabbed her hand dramatically like they'd just won the lottery. Then came Grandpa's vintage car collection. Then investment accounts. Then jewelry. Each item made Vanessa sit taller and prouder while she kept throwing smug little looks at me across the table. And I won't lie, it hurt. Because with every sentence, I started wondering if maybe she'd been right all along. Maybe Grandpa really had left me behind. Then the lawyer suddenly stopped reading. The room went completely quiet. He looked down at the final page, then directly at me. His voice softened. "To my granddaughter Olivia, the only person in this family who loved me without wanting something in return." Vanessa's smile disappeared instantly. And deep down, I knew something massive was coming next. You could actually hear Vanessa breathing harder across the table. Nobody touched their drinks anymore. Nobody smiled. The lawyer unfolded the last page carefully and continued reading in Grandpa's voice. "To Olivia, thank you for sitting beside my hospital bed when nobody else would." My throat tightened immediately, because it was true. During Grandpa's final year, the family barely visited unless cameras were involved. Vanessa came twice, both times posting selfies online pretending she was taking care of Grandpa. Meanwhile, I was the one changing his blankets, bringing groceries, paying for his medications when insurance delayed coverage, listening to him cry after chemo treatments, and somehow, sitting in that restaurant, hearing his words out loud, hurt more than the funeral itself. The lawyer continued, when everyone else treated me like a bank account, Olivia treated me like a human being. Vanessa slammed her champagne glass onto the table. This is ridiculous, she snapped. He was sick. Somebody probably manipulated him. The lawyer slowly turned toward her. Your grandfather added, handwritten video confirmed, amendments 2 months. Before his passing, he said firmly, everything is legally protected. For the first time all night, Vanessa looked nervous, real nervous. Then came the part that changed everything. To Olivia, I leave controlling ownership of Carter Holdings. My mother blinked. Wait, what? The lawyer kept reading, including all commercial properties, primary investments, and family trust authority. I swear the entire restaurant disappeared around me, because Carter Holdings wasn't just money. It was everything. The apartment buildings, the rental income, the business accounts, the assets worth millions. Vanessa suddenly stood up so fast, her chair scraped across the floor. That's impossible, she shouted. Grandpa promised that company to me. The lawyer calmly slid a folder across the table. Your grandfather documented several concerns regarding financial abuse and unauthorized withdrawals connected to Vanessa. The color drained from my sister's face instantly. My mother looked horrified. And that's when I finally understood why they excluded me from this dinner. They thought the celebration was theirs. They thought they'd already won. But Grandpa knew exactly who they really were before he died. And he made sure the entire family found out in the most humiliating way possible. Vanessa completely lost control after that. She's lying, she screamed, pointing at me in the middle of the restaurant. She manipulated him. She turned Grandpa against us. But honestly, I didn't even respond, because for the first time in my life, I didn't need to defend myself anymore. The truth was already sitting on the table in front of everyone. Signed, witnessed, legally sealed. My mother tried switching tactics next. Her voice suddenly became soft and emotional. Olivia, sweetheart, we're family. We can work this out together. Together. That word almost made me sick. These were the same people who ignored my calls when Grandpa died. The same people who celebrated an inheritance before the will was even read. The same people who looked me in the eyes and told me I didn't matter. And now suddenly they wanted unity? No, I was done begging for love from people who only valued money. The lawyer quietly handed me Grandpa's personal letter before leaving. I read it later that night alone in my apartment. One sentence still lives in my head every single day. Real family shows up when there's nothing to gain. I cried harder reading that letter than I did at his funeral, because Grandpa understood everything. He saw every ignored phone call, every holiday I spent alone, every cruel comment Vanessa made. And before he died, he made sure I would never be powerless in that family again. 6 months later, Vanessa was under investigation for fraud connected to the missing trust money. My mother stopped calling after I refused to share equally. And me, I sold the lake house they fought over so desperately, and used part of the money to open a cancer support center in Grandpa's name. Funny how the family treated me like I was worth nothing, because in the end, I was the only one Grandpa truly trusted with everything.